Thanks a lot for being here, guys. For those of you all who aren't in music, this is going to be a very boring session. So you would rather go out and network. But those of you who are in music, I'm going to try to tell you all everything I learned about artist management over my last, I don't know, 12, 15 years of doing this in the next 39 minutes. So let's see how that goes. I run a company called Represent. Some of you all might have heard of it. The main thing we do at Represent is build, shape, and accelerate pop culture in India. That's what we're built around. That's what we want to do with with our company, and that's what we've been trying to do for as many years as I've been active in this field. Under Represent, again, there's a lot of different things that we do. I just want to give you all a bit of background before I get into what exactly artist management is. But this is pretty much how we operate. We have management, which is the core of all our business. We work with talent, help build their careers out, develop them, push them out. We have Outright, which is led by Murtaza, who's sitting right here, who will talk a bit more about what Outright is on the next panel. So I'm not going to go too deep into it. We have Replay and Experiential. Replay is our agenting wing. We also have a lot of IPs and festivals that we wish to develop under Replay. So everything experiential and IP driven is under Replay. We do a number of investments. There's a sneaker brand called Comet. There's a gaming console called Backbone, and there's a bunch more that we've done under Represent. We are getting into the space of new media. This is building out more YouTube channels, etc., which are more to promote music, to promote pop culture. So we're going to start investing a lot in that. And the last is D2C, owned and operated. We have a fragrance company called Soul with an artist I manage called Zayden. Plus, we're getting into a few more of these. Through this session, I want to answer a few questions. These are specifically for artists and their managers. Number one is, when do you need an artist manager in your career? How do you get a manager? How do you choose who's the best manager for you? What's the biggest red flag in a management agreement? How much should you pay your manager? So, hopefully, through the end of this entire conversation, we're able to cover a lot of this uh, talking points. A lot of this was already done in the last session as well. I was able to catch the latter half of it. A lot of it will feel repetitive. A lot of it will feel like different point of views as well. But this is just how I think, and you're free to develop this how you feel is best for you. Let's flip things around this time. What Let's ask artists to understand what a manager can do. Okay, so the key qualities for a good artist manager, according to me, are they have to be a good strategist. They need to be able to come up with what your story is, how you're different, how can they best go ahead to execute the strategy. You don't need someone who's just a good salesperson. Unfortunately, in India, everyone thinks a good agent is a good manager. The biggest differentiator between a good agent and a good manager is the ability to strategize. The next is a marketer and a seller. Uh, the artist manager is your first point of contact to the world. Anyone who wants to work with you, they're going to reach out to your manager. They're going to try to understand what they know about you, especially in our country where we have the lack of, or where we don't have the difference between a manager and an agent. So they need to be very good at this as well. They need to be able to tell your story well. They need to be able to sell your story very well. They need to be incredible negotiators. A lot of what a manager does is actually negotiating on behalf of the artist, be it getting you the best terms possible, getting you the best deals possible, negotiating with you even to tell you, to try to come to a middle ground of what you should be doing. They need to be generalists. I can't emphasize on this enough. Everyone spoke a lot about how an artist manager doesn't just don one hat. There are multiple hats that they need to wear. So to be able to have a lot of general knowledge across the board and to be able to think objectively through it is very key in you finding a good manager. They need to be very patient. Artists are not easy to deal with. Everyone else working around an artist is not easy to deal with. You're in the people's business. So patience is key to a good manager. If you find someone very hot headed, in a most likely scenario, they won't make the best manager. So look for someone who's more patient. And the last is they need to be extremely thick skinned. The number of times I've been abused because of my art is the number of times I've been abused because of whatever I might have done as well is very, very high. The number of times you get into arguments is extremely high as well. So, unless you're thick skinned and you're able to take it in the right stride, you're going to fail as an artist manager. So, that is another key thing to look into while you're looking out for your managers. When we're hiring people at Represent with, this is exactly the few criteria that we look at. And I feel like this makes great artist managers as well. They need to be extremely empathetic. That was emphasized a lot on the last panel as well. Without empathy, you're not going a long way. You and your artist need to share that empathy as well. And you need to be able to really feel for the person in front of you if you want to do well as an artist manager. There needs to be a lot of trust between an artist and their managers. Artists have just one career. They put all their faith in their manager. The manager also has to put in the equal amount of trust and faith in their artist. And till that two-way trust is not built, it's like a marriage. It really needs to be there for it to work out. Transparency, this is again a big problem in India and around the world as well. People are not transparent about how they operate. There are a lot of missing terms, which is why a lot of things get tainted as well. So be transparent, be honest. It's a lot easier to deal that way. A manager has to be a value creator. A manager who's just handling your book, you already have an existing amount of business, and they're not able to create more value for you, be it in terms of brand value, be it in terms of helping you put out more music or content, be it in terms of booking more shows, then that manager is not really doing anything. But a manager at each stage has to create value. It's not just one or two, it's at each and every one of these stages that a manager has to step in and add more value to your overall brand. And the last is pop culture enthusiasts. They have to love this entire space in which they're operating. They have to love this entire field. If you're doing this just because you think it's cool for some time and you're going to get out of it, it's not going to make a difference. You need to be invested in this for at least 10, 20 years. So you really, really need to like what's happening in the scene overall to get into it. This is something which one of my mentors had told me, and I've held on to it for the longest time. That artists have one career. Their success is in their manager's hands. This is a very, very powerful statement, and it tells you exactly how important it is for you as a manager to do well by your artist. You, in your entire life, are going to end up working with multiple different people. You might end up managing multiple different artists, but that artist has trusted their entire career just with you. You're the only one person they put all their faith into. So, for you to deliver is very important, which is why we need to be very careful about what we do. We also need to be very understanding of the facts that they can be difficult at times. We need to be very understanding that they are not maybe seeing things the same way as you do, because for them, the smallest thing makes the biggest difference. So be very, very mindful working with artists about this, that their career is in your hands and you've taken that responsibility for someone else's life. What does an artist manager do? A lot of people think an artist manager is just a booker, is just a strategist. There's a lot more to it. The best analogy that I've been able to come to so far is that the artist is the business, the manager is the CEO. The manager is responsible for everything. They're responsible to make sure everything is working in the right place. They're responsible to make sure the product keeps getting better. The product is, of course, the artist. And the manager plays the role of CEO. That's all they're supposed to do. They're supposed to take executive decisions and go forward and help get those executed. Your job as a manager is to focus on three things. Number one, build out the vision for your artist. An artist without a vision is not going to lead to anything else. You need to be on the same page as your artist while you're building this out. It needs to be a very strong exercise where you'll set out and see how you're different from the next person. What are you doing better? Where do you really see yourself going 5 years, 10 years down the line? And putting that down into action points. So, building out a vision before an artist starts off is very, very important. I feel like most people fail here because every artist just says, I want to be the biggest artist in the country. I want to be the biggest artist in the world. I want to be the biggest Punjabi artist in the world. But how are you different? Where is any kind of differentiation coming in? How are you better than the last guy who claimed to be the biggest Punjabi artist in the world is what you need to figure out. And that's where you and your manager come together to build that vision out. You need to act as a catalyst. You need to help spearhead a lot of things. You need to help move a lot of things a lot faster. If things were going, if an artist was able to reach from A to C on their own, you have to take the artist from C to Z, and that's your journey. You need to act as a catalyst that pushes that entire funnel a lot more further. And the last is you are the gatekeeper of information. You know the most about what an artist is up to. You know exactly where they are, what they're doing, what they're working on, how does their next 12, 18, 24 months look. That information is only available to you. You need to make sure you pass that on to the right stakeholders across the board, be it the promoters, be it the labels, be it the distributor, be it PR, be it anyone across the board. You are responsible for passing that information on. So you are a gatekeeper of information, but you are also equally responsible to pass that on. What you need to be a good artist manager is trust between you and your artist. You need instinct. A lot of times we keep second guessing what we want to do. As artist managers, also, we tend to develop a very strong ego, and that ego takes over our instinct. But our instinct is most likely the best option to go with. When you hear a song for the first time and you feel it's bad, but you're going to go and tell your artist, no, it's good just because you feel it'll hurt them, that's you're trying to play to someone's ego. Don't do that. Go with your instinct, give them that gut feeling. There is a show in a particular city which you feel would be incredible for your artist, but the fee is not that good, but you still think they should do it, go with your instinct and take that call. A lot of times I've seen in my personal career when I've taken support of my instinct and tried to make a decision, it's done a lot better than anything else that I'd expected. So your instinct is very, very important. Passion, of course, there's no need explaining this. Till you don't have it, it's not going to go anywhere. You need to have a lot of courage in this entire role. You need to have the courage to change a lot of ways people think. We're working in an industry that is ever evolving, but we're also working in an industry which is extremely bureaucratic and gate kept. You'll keep hearing people saying this is not possible, this cannot be done. You have to have the courage to stand up to them. You could have a very small artist right now and might be dealing with a very big promoter, executive, anyone it might be, but you need to have the courage to explain why this adds value to both parties and how this can make that difference. If you have that, it's going to make all the key that you need. You need to be empathetic. Everyone has spoken about this a lot. I'm not going to go deeper into it. And of course, you need to have financial sense. This is somewhere where I struggled very initially as an artist manager. I started making money very early, started blowing all of it up wherever I felt like. Uh, we all got hit by COVID. Luckily, by then I'd gotten slightly more sensible, but things like this can keep happening. You need to be very, very financially stable yourself, as well as you need to make sure your artist is very financially stable too. If they're going and investing all their money into various different places which are not adding to their career, it's not going to help. If they're not preparing for a rainy day and they feel like it'll keep happening because they're having a hot streak right now, that's not going to work out. You need to be very, very secure about this. You need to make sure that you aren't approving expenses, even for an artist, which don't make sense. You also have to make sure that the artist continues to keep investing in themselves. A lot of artists tend to get very lazy about their investments. They feel like someone else is there to pick that up for them into their own art, their own career. No, you need to make sure that they're doing that themselves. So, how does an artist make revenue? I think everyone's learned this pretty well so far, but there's live performances, there's master royalties, there's publishing royalties, there's branded content, merchandise, and artist led startups. So far, as a music industry, we've only been focusing on live performance. Slightly, we've been getting a bit more of master royalties coming in because of a few independent artists blowing up and others following suit after that. However, there is so many other opportunities which are left untapped, and this is where real value for an artist is actually going to come in. You'll see Jay Z, you'll see Jay Z's $1 billion net worth. Out of that, only about 7.5% comes from what he does with music. The rest, everything is around the investments he was able to make, how he was able to leverage his entire brand, the kind of products he was able to create on the back of the incredible brand and distribution he had built for himself. So, if he was just a musician, he would probably be making close to $75 million as a net worth. He's sitting at a billion only because he was able to be more prudent about how he used his money and how he used his own brand to build that out. As an industry, if we keep sticking to just live revenue and music royalties, we're going to hit a very easy threshold, which will not have growth for anyone. However, if we're able to get into more of D2C, into deeper culture, that's where we're going to see real value coming out of our artists. This is something I absolutely love and adore. This is called the brand pyramid. And I've constantly seen that in my artist lives, this has done extremely, extremely well. A brand pyramid is a very common marketing tool that people use to be able to sell everything on the back of something big. I'm going to give you an example of what we did with my artist Law Stories many years back. They're incredible DJ producers. And I'm going to show you how that really helped fund the entire business of Law Stories. And it still continues to. So we, after a lot of effort, were able to get them booked to perform at this incredible festival called Tomorrowland, one of the best festivals in the world. Incredible place to go. For them to be able to go and make that trip, they would have had to spend 12 lakh rupees at that time, and they didn't have that money. We didn't know how that's going to happen. We didn't know where we're going to get it from. But we had this incredible opportunity to be amongst the first Indian artists to perform at the festival. And we had to figure everything else out after that. What we did was we ended up going across the board, got a partnership with VH1, we got a partnership with Meta, we got a partnership with Twitter. And on the back of all of that, we were also able to raise a very considerable endorsement with Jack and Jones, which not just gave them cash, not just gave them a lot of clothes to cover the entire expense of the tour, but also gave them a lot of visibility where they were now visible across every Jack and Jones store around the country, plus the website and everything else. On the back of that, on the back of being able to say that they were performing at Tomorrowland, that they had done this incredible thing, we saw that their rate, which at that time was close to 1.5 lakh, went up directly to 3.5 lakhs. As a result of that, they were able to perform multiple club shows and do and a much bigger club tour. So over the course of the next, I think, year, they did over 120 shows, uh, all on the back of one incredible big look that was able to come in, all on the back of the fact that we were able to find the right place to fund it, and then, of course, go in to do everything else out here. We always, an artist will always feel like, why should I invest in my own music when a label is ready to write that check? I'll give you Anuv's example out here as well. Anuv owns 100% of his rights, puts out all his music. He invests, the only investment he makes in his entire journey is towards putting an incredible song out. He puts his best foot forward, he invests his time, money, everything to get that done. That is the top of the pyramid for us out there. We know that that song blows up so much, travels everywhere, is distributed everywhere, hits those charts, etc., on the back of which he's able to tour and do everything else that comes in. So always put your effort to building that one top of the pyramid thing, which you know for a fact is going to help everything else. You invest your own resources to get to the top, and then that one incident, that one key item is able to build in all the revenue that you need to sustain the rest of the year. Whenever you're making a decision as an artist manager on behalf of your artist, you need to ask a few questions. Number one is, what does this do for me? Will this deal positively impact, negatively impact? Does it affect my artist's growth at all? If I do this, what do I need to do next? Is this the right timing or should we wait? Whenever we have any kind of deal coming in, any kind of opportunity coming in, anything that we feel we should be doing next, these are the few questions which we constantly ask ourselves. Once we're able to get the right answer to it, then we go ahead and do it. I'll give you an example of this as well. One of our artists was approached to perform at Coachella this year, and we thought that's going to be incredible. That's absolutely bang on. It's going to really help push that artist a lot. But then we thought again that maybe we're too early for it. Maybe this is not the right time to do it. Maybe we need to put a bit more music out. We need to build a bit more of a global presence before we're able to go and perform at that kind of a festival. So even when we're declining something as big as an artist performing at Coachella, we're asking these questions, getting the answer to that, and then taking that call. And then, of course, telling them that maybe we need one more year to do it. This is why we feel so. And if you're still on board, let's do it in another year. It works out most of the times. It keeps the artist secure and it makes you understand that you're not doing something too early or too late. Till you don't ask, the answer is always no. I've always stood by this. Whenever we walked into a room and people have said that this might be too difficult, we've still gone ahead and asked that shameless question. And in most times, we've gotten the output that we wanted. And the worst we can hear is a no, which we're absolutely okay with. We go in mindful of that entire equation. But that one day when that person decides to do something different, when that one day when that person sitting in front of you is in the mood to try something cool, this is going to change everything for you. This happened to us when we went to New York. I was with Arman. We wanted him to be, he had an English single called Control coming out for the first time. We walked into the Spotify New York office. The Spotify India team had categorically called me and said that do not ask for a billboard at Times Square. It is too early. We have not done it for anyone so far. Please do not ask for that. We said okay. But then we went in and we still asked for it. And they instantly said, yes, let's try. This is something cool. Because we were able to read the room. We thought that the worst we're going to hear is a no. And it all worked out. And he was the first ever Indian artist to be on a Spotify Times Square billboard. So put in that extra effort. I wasn't doing that for an applause, but put in that extra effort to go and ask that question whenever you feel you have something which is very special and you feel like this does deserve something very exciting. This is what a 3-year plan looks like for an artist. This is how we work across the board for our artists. This is a tentative plan which I had made as an example for Anu when we had shown it at All About Music last year. Once again, this is not what his actual plan looks like. When I showed this at All About Music, everyone thought he's actually opening for Coldplay. And I got a lot of shit from Book My Show for saying, why are you saying that Anu was opening for Coldplay when he's not? Despite me clarifying 10,000 times that this is just a tentative plan. So please look at this just as a tentative plan. But when we're going and planning our artists' lives, we want to think ahead of time. We want to think big. We want to think uh, of things as exciting as possible. So we sit with the artist and we put together what are our goals? What do we really want to do? How can we scale this? So this is the kind of things that we keep doing. It could include a show. It could include different territories you want to do. It could include merchandise launches. It can include investments. It can include a festival headline set. It can include a documentary. It can have uh, a. We've said that we want to win a Grammy next year. So there is this is just open thinking. This is just thinking of whatever we want to do. He is not performing at Coachella next year. I'm again clarifying this again. This is just a very simple 3-year plan of how we want to build out an artist. I want you all to think this way about your own careers if you're an artist, and if you're an artist manager, your artist careers. Sit with them, think long term, think of how, okay, if something happens earlier, maybe we can move it quicker. Just keep putting in that much thought into what you want to do with an artist. It really helps. I was with a very big international artist a couple of weeks back, and he told me that they are currently working on 2028. But in India right now, we are working probably on 2 weeks from now. I think that is the biggest difference between how the West operates and how India operates, and how we really need to catch up. Everything is well planned, everything is going per plan, everyone is invested deeply in that plan and making sure that that plan goes right. We all need to feel and think that way. We all need to think a lot more long term if we want real success to come for our artists. Layers and timing are your best friend. Layers are the various different things that you can keep adding to an artist's life. So uh, it could be as simple as an artist has decided to put out an album. With that album, I'm going to put out merchandise. With the merchandise, I'm also going to put out an artist tour. Along with the artist tour, I also want to do a content series. Along with the content series, I also want to see how I can get a brand play activated so that I get more amplification. While the artist is on tour with the album, I want to do a remix track or a bonus track to that entire album. How can you stretch the longevity of a project? How can you keep adding more and more layers to it? Is something you as a manager need to keep doing. A lot of times it only ends up becoming one content piece that has come out, but that isn't the right way to look at it. You need to add more and more and more and more and more and keep telling that story. India is a land of storytelling. Artist management is an act of storytelling, and what our artists do is pure play storytelling. So that's what we need to keep doing by adding these various different layers, timing them in the right way, and keep pushing as much as we can. This is something this is something I was hoping the previous panel would have covered as well, but I'd really like to talk a bit more about this, and this is more so about how artist management in India versus the West is different, and a very big reason for why Indian artists might not be able to cross over to the West just as yet. We all keep hearing that India is ready to go to the world. I feel so myself, but till this doesn't change, a lot of things are not going to change. A typical artist manager in the West gets paid 15 to 20% gross after the agent has been paid. The agent gets paid a fixed 10%, and then the artist manager gets paid 15 to 20%. So the artist, before any money has hit their account, is paying out about 30% in terms of commissions. Against that, the West artist manager has to do artist strategy and has to manage relationships with stakeholders across an entire artist project. So they need to be on top of everything. They need to coordinate with everything. They need to pass on information to everyone. However, an Indian artist manager at the same time has to do the artist strategy, agenting, touring, marketing, PR, creative direction, finance, social media, merchandise, label relations, A&R, security, styling, everything, and gets paid 15 to 20% of what the artist gets made. First of all, one person to be able to do all of those things is impossible. An artist needs to build a team of very strong professionals to be able to make this happen. Till they don't do that, till they keep relying on one person to execute everything on their behalf, it is going to fail terribly. You're going to hate your manager is going to end up hating you, and you all are not going to see growth together. The manager and the artist have to come together to build out this particular team, to build out the right team for each artist. One size does not fit all, unfortunately. Everyone needs a very tailor made approach. Even if you build the same set of services for your artist in house and you're able to provide that to them, one artist and a second artist have very different needs. The approach for them has to be very different. Hence, the kind of people working on them have to be very different. Till that investment mindset in an artist doesn't come in, that they need to put in money to hire so many different people, and that might cut down their cost or might cut down their income by another 30-40% even. A typical artist in the West takes home about 35% of the overall money that they make. A typical artist in India takes home 80% of the overall money they make. That is the entire difference in. And I'm not trying to say that artists shouldn't make money. I'm trying to say that the second you start investing more, your pool, your pot becomes so much bigger that 35% will be way bigger than the 80% you're currently looking at. So start thinking of it in that way. Start thinking of yourself as a product, as an artist, and keep investing on making your product a lot better. Keep investing on making sure that more and more people get to know about you, get to see you. And that'll only happen when you're able to get the right team in place. If I was to start a career as an artist today, and this is me personally, if I was to start off uh, as an artist today, these are the expenses I would incur before even paying a manager, before even getting anyone else on board. This is how much would go into developing if we wanted a K-pop sort of uh, community in India where people are extremely well trained, developed, and gone and built as artists. This is the kind of investments that would go into it. You're looking at about 1.1 crores going into building an artist before a manager has even been paid. So that's the kind of investment that goes into actually building a very, very top tier artist. And that's what we need to build towards. You're not expected to do it right away. But the second you become a fairly big artist, this is what you need to start doing so that you're able to grow a lot more, so that you're able to do a lot better than all your competitors. The most important thing for us is that every artist manager, as well as the artist, have to put in their 10,000 hours. 10,000 hours is what it takes to reach a certain level of excellence. Until we don't do that, we're going to fail desperately. An artist on day one of putting a song out feels like they're ready to have made it. They are very impatient and they feel like this is done, they're going to get there right away. In a good case scenario, it takes you 10 years to find success as an artist. In a good case scenario, it takes you 7 years to become a half decent manager. So please put in that time and effort to build towards it. Be cognizant of that. You can have early successes, you can have all of those things. But till you actually end up seeing that, okay, now I finally understand what I'm doing. I didn't know what I was doing till about 4 or 5 years back, and I've been doing this for maybe 15 years. So please put in those 10,000 hours of rigorous hard work before you can actually see true results in this particular field. The best example of this is, if you look at, just this is data that came out last year. The average amount of time it took for a good artist to break in the US last year, as per the Grammys, was 7.8 years. Between their first release to a Grammy nomination, the average amount of time it's taken for some of the best artists in the world to break out after their debut release was maybe 8.5 years. That is how much time goes into building an artist's career. Everyone is very impatient about this, where they feel like they want instant virality, they want an instant hit, they want to collab with the second biggest artist in in the country in maybe 2 years of doing this. It takes a lot more time than that. At the same time, it takes the managers a lot more time to understand what they are doing as well. So artists, managers, executives alike need to put in that kind of hard work if they really want any kind of success coming out of it. The One of the last few parts of my entire workshop is India to the world, and we spoke a bit about this earlier. But I'm very, very passionate about this, and I want all of you all to be very passionate about this as well. Because for the first time, our country seems to have come together in wanting to export global music. We have, for the first time, seen global deals happening with Indian artists. So an AP Dillon signed to Republic Records, Hanuman kind of signed to Jeff Jam, Karan Aujla signed to Warner Canada. We're seeing those kind of incredible deals happening outside of India as well. Live Nation is touring a lot of our artists, and this is the right time. But there are still a few things which we all need to solve together for us to be able to get there. And these are just my thoughts. These are completely different from what someone else might think, but this is what I feel would work. Number one, I feel like Indian melodies and instrumentations are the strongest ticket to global expansion. We need to lean in a lot more to that. So when you're trying to build out music, see how your roots are inspiring it. If it's not inspired, it's absolutely okay. But if it is inspired and you're holding back from it, saying that, oh my god, this might sound too Indian or this might not be cool enough, please don't do that. Hanuman kind best example, the best kind of visual storytelling, the best kind of audio production to bring out that kind of global export. The second is language. A lot of people feel like Hindi or Punjabi are going to cross over. I'm playing devil's advocate. I don't think either of the two are going to do that. For me, I feel it's going to be an Indian singing in English. A majority of our country's population also speaks in English, and I feel like English is very easily the language that India will cross over in. An Indian artist singing, writing in English, I think, is going to be what will cross over. The third is pitching. Currently, Indian music is pitched mainly between the Indian and Middle East territories. Till the labels don't start investing more in pitching this to offices outside of the country, this is not going to make any difference. So till we don't end up hitting New Music Friday in about 40 countries, till we don't end up finding discovery playlists around the country, around the world, it's not going to make any difference. And we need the labels, and all of us need to push the labels to start doing that. Tastemakers outside of, and this is what we're trying to build with our new business as well, outside of just available editorial playlists and a few set of third party playlists, there are no real marketing tools for artists in India, and this is a great opportunity for you all to build as well. And we'll talk a bit more about this on the new panel. But just imagine if you can build your own tiny desk concert format for India. Just imagine if you can build your own version of the Jimmy Fallon show in India, and artists can come and promote their music there. These are well tested global IPs that do extremely well, both financially as well as with branded income, and these can be built out, and these will really help us get more exposure. TikTok is a very big reason why Indian music has not crossed over yet. Our lack of the presence of the app here is obviously a big key to that. And a lot of the music that is discovered in the West is done through TikTok. So we still need to be active on posting that. As artists, you still need your relative, your friend in London or any other place in the world where it's still active posting on your behalf. Please get an active TikTok profile and keep posting. You never know when something can blow up out there. The economics of the artist, we already spoke about this, where they only pay their managers 20% and expect them to handle everything. However, they need to actually invest 50-60% of their own revenue to build professional teams. Till we don't get our artists into that investment mindset, and this is the job of managers, families, teams, everyone alike, to educate their artists that this is why you need to invest in this and this is why it'll make your life better. Till we don't do that, we're going to see a lot more of a problem when it comes to crossing over. And the last, of course, is government support. This is starting to come in slowly and steadily. We've seen PM Modi talking about Coldplay. We're seeing him meeting incredible artists. There's a entire new Ministry of Culture bill that they're working on, or a policy that is going to help artists and creators a lot more. So we already see this happening. Now we need to do the most of taking the benefit of it and also using it to our export power. But yeah, I'd love for you all to read this at your own time. This is one of my favorite quotes. And I want you to also pay attention to the last three, four lines. A lot of people get into artist management because they feel like they want to leave a mark in this industry. They want their name to be known. They want to be the most famous person in a room. They want to have this kind of power, etc. that is there. In a most likely scenario, you are not going to get that. More so, if you wanted to go with your name down in a history book, then artist management is not the field you should have entered in the first place. You're going to be in the shadows. You are going to be the person who people neglect the most. They will remember that your artist was the greatest artist in the world. They might not forget that you played a role in making that happen, and you need to be absolutely okay with that. Till you aren't absolutely okay with that, you're in the wrong field. You aren't here to win the medal. You're here to make sure your artist wins the medal, and you're right by their corner, helping them get to that point. Some of the most simple tools that all of us use, and I'd love for you all to get into as well, is ChatGPT. Everyone's learned more about it so far. Midjourney, great for mood boarding, great for visual identity. Lead Zen or Apollo, these are two tools. So the biggest problem I hear from artists, managers, new executives, everyone is, I'm not able to get in touch with a particular person, or I don't have the network or access to be able to get in touch with them. I don't have the email ID. I don't know how to do this. These tools help you get the email ID of anyone on LinkedIn. So take a subscription, get onto it, find their email ID, send them the right pitch, the right cold email, and you'll be able to get in touch with anyone across the board. We use sound charts a lot to be able to track how music of our artist is doing, be it on playlists, be it on charts across the board. We use mail merge for a lot of mass mailing that we need to do. And of course, we use LinkedIn Premium as a very strong networking tool. So, as an artist manager, try to get onto all of these and use them to the best of your ability. I've also linked a few resources below. Uh, those of y'all who would like to do it can check this out. This includes a book by an incredible mentor of mine. Her name is Amy Thompson. It's a book on artist management and the music industry as a whole. Please go through it. There are a few documentary links and a few more things that you can check out as an artist manager. Yeah, that's about it from me. Thank you so much.